Okay, I think we're live on YouTube. My name is Tim Erickson. I'm St. Paul Tim on the internet. And this is our once a month design UX meeting. We got some special guests here today. Let's let's go ahead and quick introduce ourselves. Again, as I said, I'm Tim Erickson. So I guess what I didn't say is I'm here in Deerwood, Minnesota. So Martin, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves? We usually just do our name and where we're from and anything interesting. Go ahead, Martin.
Hi, I'm Martin Price, Yorkshire pudding around Backdrop, and I'm a Backdrop developer in Northeast England.
Izzy, do you want to go next? And
Hi, I'm
that
Izzy.
Justin?
I'm Izzy. I'm a freelance site builder and developer in Vancouver, Canada. Thanks.
Justin, do you want to go? And then Darius?
Sure. Justin Kaiser. I'm in Muncie, Indiana. I work for a nonprofit working on websites and Kaiser JB on the internet.
Okay. Nate, do you want to go after Darius?
Hey, I'm Darius. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a while since I've been with the Backdrop crew, but I was an early contributor and I helped out with a lot of the design with the UX and the UI. So I'm looking forward to see where things are at right now and just curious to see where things are going.
Nate?
And I'm Nate Lampton. A quick sketch. I'm a core committer and technical lead for Backdrop from Oakland, California.
The other Justin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Justin Christofferson in Denver, Colorado. Go by Lars Designs on the web and just kind of hanging out. Thanks.
Okay. Did we get Izzy? I don't remember. Izzy, did we get you?
Yes, I've already.
Okay, I thought so, but I wanted to be sure. So I don't know if you guys talked about this in the last meeting, but Darius, since you're here, there's been rumors that there was some Backdrop activity at Bad Camp and that you may or may not have been involved. Can you tell us what, if anything, happened?
Sure. Yeah, very superficially. All right. So I got there and I got the news that the Backdrop Summit, unfortunately, was going to be postponed for the day. There were a couple of folks still milling around in the back room. And I sit down and, we start just having a casual conversation. And apparently I was the only one in the room who had really ever built a Backdrop site. And they said, well, guess what? You get to lead this thing now. And I said, what? Oh, okay. The timing worked out well, though. I was trying to make an update to my portfolio website. I built most of it, myself. I had a lot of help from Nate. A little bit from Jen. This is super early Backdrop stuff, though, right? We didn't even have like a mobile design pattern and the menu. Like we were kind of flying the plane while building it at the same time. So it was kind of cool. I just walked people through my process, talked about some of the views that I had, a little bit of like a portfolio demonstration and kind of peeking behind the curtain. So it was mostly design focused, and which that's great though. I think that's kind of a win if a UX UI designer can cobble together a Backdrop site. I think that means something is working. But I even was able to get help right there from the crowd because folks who are familiar with views, like we noticed that there was a bug on my main info page, and so we did a little bit of troubleshooting there. And just kind of like sharing some community, some vibe, and some tips, some tricks. And I mean, it must have lasted all of 15 minutes or so, but I said, let's poke around this Backdrop site and just have some conversations about, the way I put it together and, what we're looking at here. So yeah, that was my summit in a nutshell.
Okay. So it sounds like it was just sort of a short BOF.
Yeah, it was just a BOF. Exactly. Yes, I did not go into any more detail on that.
Okay.
Good way to put it.
Well, thank you for doing that. It's
Yeah,
better
of
to have
course.
something.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, people were curious. They wanted to see something, right? What is this? So.
Okay. Okay. Did you want to add anything, Nate? Or
No, just wanted to say thanks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was happy to do it.
We have a little bigger crew than usual, just to let you know. So the design UX meeting used to be every other week. We went down to once a month, and even that We just haven't had as much focus on the design UX meeting. I think largely because some of the key drivers of the design UX issues haven't been available lately. So anyways, the point of that is that this is, kind of an open agenda. We don't have any like ongoing discussions. When we have been meeting recently, we've just been kind of looking through the issue queue for some design UX issues that we might be able to unstick. But I think it's been a month or two since we've actually had a functional design UX meeting. So, but Nate, it sounds like you have something you want to talk about. So,
Yeah, I sure do. And this is nothing but an idea. There's not even an issue for it, as is typical for me.
okay,
And maybe there is already an issue, and I just don't know what it is.
right.
But what I have been mulling about is improving the admin bar, and specifically the mobile experience on the admin bar. I mean, really, overhaul of the admin bar, I think is probably in order, but I want to go over what we've got right now and uh, with the issue that kind of stirred my brain a little bit here. So I still like our admin bar, like the way that it works. It's very effective. I love our search.
The
I think
search is so good. Yeah.
this is like one of the most useful things. I
Right.
like the this page menu. I like the account menu. I like a lot of it. It's all very functional. Did somebody want to say something?
Well, I was just going to. The search, I agree, works really well when you remember it's there, and it's probably something that once people have started to use it, they just use it all the time. But I have to tell you, I went for years with I'd never think to use it, and so I don't know if there's a solution to that. But
Maybe it's the
like
positioning or something. I
I
don't.
don't know, or it's just like until you've used it, like what does search in the admin bar mean, right? Like I think of content, I guess, and maybe that was my problem, is that I'm thinking of like this is searching content, not helping me find a feature. I don't know. But
That's interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if that was it or not. I just know that I kind of ignored it until
And I'm
I
the opposite, and I can't explain why.
okay.
Like just to me, it connected.
Yeah.
Like so, I live in that search bar. Really, I use it to teleport around. But it's also how I use my laptop. Like I
I've
use
started
Spotlight for
yeah.
everything.
I've
So
started to use it more, but I still don't use it probably as much as I should. Like it would be helpful to me.
I see where you would be confused though. Like, what am I searching for? Right?
Right.
Like, yeah, is it a content search or like am I looking for operations? So that's interesting feedback.
So what I'm particularly interested in, I think the desktop is fine. I think an overall uh design update would be fantastic here. Like, I think that we almost did some smaller changes that we converted all of these icons to SVGs a couple releases ago, which is another nice little incremental improvement. I think we increased the font size 1 pixel or something like that, like because it was just looking rather small by today's standards. But I think a larger overhaul of the whole thing could be great. And I'm not quite sure how we would handle that backwards compatibility wise. I'm thinking maybe there'd be like a, new versus old version, kind of like we do for jQuery. And then the old version would go away in Backdrop 2. But redesign aside, what I really want to talk about is the mobile experience, which is it's a mixed bag. Like there's some things that work. I really like that the menu collapses when it intersects with the other menu. So like if there's room to do the desktop navigation, it will do that. But if there's not, then it goes down to collapsing everything under one larger hamburger. And then if you're on a touch device, this was a recent change that if you're on a touch device that has a reasonable amount of room like this, it still does the left right thing. And this was one of the changes that happened in the recent release is that if you're on a very small mobile device, it doesn't do the left right thing because there's no room for left right. And so it's a little bit tough to like tell where you are, but at least you can get to it without it running out of room or overlapping. So this is like a modest improvement on it. But the truth is that this solution for mobile is really inadequate. And the idea that I had was that that we should explore other navigation patterns for mobile in particular. And what I think I would like to pursue is a full screen navigation. And I don't have a website that demonstrates this perfectly. This is a client site I did not too long ago, but this kind of concept of like the menu just takes over the entire screen is more what I'm thinking of for mobile, where it's like rather than trying to fit it into a drop down, it should just take over the whole screen and then use this kind of this is 2 levels of nesting shown in a single screenshot here, but like you'd start out with the top level links and then you'd click and then you'd slide over into the sub menu of that with a back button that let you go back up to the parent menu. And then you could continue to drill down, but you only see one level of navigation at a given time with the option to go back up. And that just takes over the entire screen so that you've got all of the room. You've got the ability to go up and down, but just once you click into something, that just is now you're only working inside of that sub menu and not seeing all the parents. And if you want to go into a sibling or something like that, you've got to go up and then back down. But I think this is a common navigation pattern these days, although I wasn't able to pull up a real good example of it yet. And so that's kind of my proposal is I think that this would be a good pattern for navigating on a mobile device, the backdrop administrative interface. But I'd like to get people's feedback about if that, is the best approach or if there's other patterns that might be more suitable. So thoughts?
I'm curious, Nate, what's the situation that the user is in when they're on a mobile device and they're like, I want to make a backdrop website or I want to edit my website.
Is it really important that we even do it? Is that what you're saying?
No, it needs work. I agree with you, right? Like it's kind of awkward just having the little thing float downward. Like I get it. You're kind of like halfway at a solution, I think. So I think it's worthwhile to flesh it out more and give it some more polish. I guess I'm trying to answer your question. Is this the right pattern? I think we should talk more about the scenario, right? Like what are the targeted situations that I'm trying to do when I'm on my phone versus what I'm doing when I'm sitting at my desktop? Maybe that like in this situation, I'm just updating my blog or something, right? Like I'm not really trying to do site building or layouts kind of stuff. And so is there a way to like focus the navigation to be more helpful, for the user, like meet them where they're at instead of just trying to say, let's make a proxy of the admin experience, but just on a tiny screen. I think that's kind of where I'm going. So I can't answer like, is this the right solution? Because I'm not exactly sure what the scenario is quite yet.
Yeah, I remember that kind of strategy. I used to see it pretty often when people were building mobile websites for universities and the like, that they were like the mobile experience, you're like trying to anticipate a mobile user is looking specifically for like, maps to get around, or I don't know, something like their personal schedule as opposed to information about the university. And I remember that people used to have different mobile expectations. But I think that the attitude has shifted a lot where it's like the mobile experience and the desktop experience should represent the same thing, where it's just like you should be able to do the same things regardless of your screen size, and trying to anticipate that there is a different use case for mobile from desktop is one that is just a shaky hypothesis to start with.
Well, but I think you seem to be talking about front end, and it seems to me that in the back end this might be a bit more clear. Like, who would ever create a view in the back end, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say,
But I've
data,
certainly,
right?
I've certainly sometimes changed config when
Right.
there's one site where I'm as well as developer, I'm also like the webmaster, and so sometimes when I've been out and about and have needed to do something, I've gone in and changed the config using my mobile. So but I certainly wouldn't ever dream of building it or doing any major It's more just little tweaks here, maybe a permission, maybe just changing one little config value.
So your point, Martin, might be that you might go in and actually change a tiny detail of a view, even though you wouldn't like initiate a new view, maybe. Yeah.
Yep, I've done that too. I've gone into blocks, like editing layouts from a phone before, which is not, again, not something you would ever do. But I needed to, in one case, back when we had to update the homepage block every time we made a release, I did that from a phone once to say the release version had changed. So I went in and edited a layout, configured a block, and then changed a value on a block configuration from a phone. And it's like, that's definitely not the primary use case. It's just like you just don't know what crazy thing you're gonna end up doing from a phone.
You can narrow it down though, right? I'm sure you have some user telemetry, like screen sizes and respect to what people are trying to do. So we can base it off our own kind of hopes and dreams and assumptions and hypothesis, and then you've got some data, and then we're just kind of guessing, right? So I get what you're saying. You don't want to like over-index on assuming that just because you're mobile, you want to see a map on the university website. Like, I think that was a good example. I get that. But I do think that like filling out some of these scenarios will help get the more generalized like UX pattern down better, if that makes sense, right? Like, because like what you showed us, like, sure, maybe, but like, do we have 3 or 4 kind of North Star situations that we want to kind of optimize for and then kind of like build off of that? Because otherwise it's just like, yeah, it looks good. That's what everyone else is doing, right? So we have to try, we have to like anchor our design decisions in some kind of mobile workflows, right? Like so there has to be some patterns that emerge and things that come to mind when you're on the phone versus sitting at the computer. I mean, I bet if we sat and thought about it, we could, throw some sticky notes at the wall and some kind of patterns would emerge. It helps.
Yeah, I think what I'm more angling for is something functional, not necessarily like, like this sounds a little bit strange to say, but not usually you actually like needs focused, but instead just functional, because right now the mobile navigation is not usable. And that's what I'm really saying. Like we have a problem in that, like, it's really difficult to navigate from a phone, period. And I want to solve that problem of like being able to use it at all.
Yeah, I was starting to go down the route of, well, like one of the frustrating things I think for a while with some websites was that there were some things you couldn't do at all on mobile. And like, so one of the approaches to what you're talking about would be, well, we could make sort of a streamlined admin for mobile users and then, but still allow them to do the whole thing. But I think your point is that the whole thing isn't even working right now. And so it's almost two different things. Like, one is just get the current menu working in a functional way. And then if we, it would be another step to like come up with a streamlined option for people who just want to edit content or something.
Yeah, although if we're going to do, this kind of effort, it would be nice if they could be done all together.
Yeah.
Because reworking is more effort than, planning ahead of time and then doing it once. But yeah.
So it could be kind of both with two modes, sort of like the simple content editing or something, and then the advanced mode.
Well, or just potentially if you do take over the whole screen of a phone and you're not working inside of a drop down, you have more room to work with. And I think that that's the key thing of like, let's not try to show everything all at once and instead have cards or something like that that slide over the top. That's like, okay, here's your this page actions, here's your user account actions, here's your sub menus, and you're only showing one of those things at a time. And the top level is just like, here's all of your options. to start drilling down. And then once you drill down, then that drill down aspect takes over the entire screen of the phone again, as opposed to leaving the log out links at the same time as you're navigating the complex menu tree, you know? So I guess I mean, it could be expanded, but you know, to take that general concept, but yeah, that's where we really get into the design aspects of things, of like, what does it look like when you open the menu? You know, what are the options there? And maybe it's not just the top level links. Maybe there's also the user account stuff, the developer actions like flushing caches and
Yeah.
stuff like that could all be like top level things. It's like, what do you want to drill into here?
If I can just toss in a couple of thoughts here. One of them is that we're talking about the content of the menu, and we're talking about the flow or presentation of the menu. And I think that it's important to distinguish that, because the content, even of the admin bar, can vary depending on the role of the person. You can have a role of a person that only uses some of the items that would be on the admin bar, like content creation or editor, etc. But coming to the other question of what kind of a flow would you like, so that it is an enhancement over what we've got now, the closest one approach that we did back before was we used the admin bar on desktops, and then on mobile we switched to the nav bar, which is a contrib module. And we basically used mobile detect to tell us when you would switch over. And the nav bar has a vertical oriented menu when it's on a narrow screen, and it starts right off on the left side. And the way it opens up is actually quite good. So if I were tossing out you know, just into this pool of how do you approach it, that's one approach where you actually can have quite a lot of menu items, but they'll collapse and open up as you need them. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that module.
Yeah, I am not that familiar with it. I'm looking at it right now, though. Here's the navbar project page, which conveniently has a lot of screenshots, which I appreciate. So it
that's the one there, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So when you click, so it does do some styling updates here. And when you click manage, it pops it into a sidebar instead of being drop downs. And let's see if there's a mobile version. It has a dark version, which is nice. Okay, but it doesn't have a mobile example here. Yeah, this is one of the things, like it's better. You know, because it has indentation in it, like it's more clear, like it would work better on a mobile device, indicating the level of hierarchy that you're in. But it is still kind of giving mobile and desktop the same experiences, which I think is just not quite optimal still for the mobile users. But yeah, I like this more than what we've got.
Oh, go ahead.
So I think this is, I mean, it's still on topic, but kind of not related. Nate, when you started off, you showed us how the reflow worked when you had all of the admin links at the top of the screen. It was maybe like the tablet width. And it kind of goes from all of the links to nothing. Is there possibly a pattern where they progressively go into like an overflow menu? So
Mhm.
like as they get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, like I have the 3 dots, the ellipsis, right? And then like they keep going into a drop down instead of just kind of all disappearing. I think that could be a win. Because it was a little jarring, and I know people aren't like going back and forth like that, but just having them all disappear at the same time, as opposed to progressively shifting them into the overflow with like a drop down.
Mhm.
That could be
Mhm.
that's a win of sorts, right?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, totally could. And that the experience. Oh, am I still sharing? Oh goodness, I am.
But no,
Uh,
we lost it actually.
oh, okay. Not quite sure.
Yeah, I mean, you were sharing until a minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this little experience here. Yeah, I kind of like I'm not even opposed to this for so yeah, this is like tablet situation. I'm not
Mhm.
opposed to this being the tablet experience either because there is enough room for the drop downs to actually be functional. And this is with the touch mode enabled, so this is what it would be like on a touch device that it is click, click, click. Um, and it does open up these menus. And this isn't really super optimal, but it's not awful. And it is functional for a touch device with a medium size screen or even a large screen. Because some of these tablets these days they're just as big as laptop screens, or even bigger.
The target area is kind of tiny. Yeah, I could see some fat fingering. I
Yeah.
would, you know,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah. And this is one of the things I think just an overhaul of like our
uh,
overall styling is also in order. Like just making these bigger, I think would
mhm,
be beneficial, just increasing the font size.
a
We did
little
also
chunkier.
in the category of like, I mean, we've got lots of things in the admin bar that we did some work on. I'm probably not going to be able to pull this out. Um, oh yeah, here it is. Great. So we did start using a custom property for font size, and we don't do a lot of this in Backdrop, but we did test this. That the admin bar is all driven off of the base font size, and if you increase this to a larger size,
Hmm.
now I need to resize to get it to reflow because it doesn't expect that use case. But everything in here actually adjusts properly based off of the base font size, which I absolutely love. So now that there's a larger font, like so you can override that property and you can increase the size of your admin bar and everything works correctly with that increased size. Everything scales off of the font. Um, and I'd been uh, kind of suggesting or wanting when we first implemented that as part of the SVG images edition to make it so that you could choose a font size slider or something like that as an admin bar option. But uh, I'm not sure that we ever got there really. Like, we could potentially have, so you got to choose which components you have, um, whether or not you have the add stuff in the menus or not, whether it's sticky or not. But we could potentially have like font size in here. So obviously I lost the font size when I navigated between pages, but maybe have like small, medium, large or something like that just to let people
Mm.
uh, have some adjustment there. And maybe this would be small by today's standards. And we might default new installations to the next level up and increase that font size from whatever it is up 2 pixels or so. I don't know. So many things about the admin bar.
There's a lot to think about, right? I mean, because now even you're losing some real estate with all the icons as well. That's a trade-off,
Mhm.
right? So that's something to consider. Um, I think overall the initiative makes a lot of sense. You just want the mobile experience, even if it's not like the most optimized. It's a little wonky by today's standards, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. So how does it's been a while since I've been here. How do you guys kick off like an initiative like that?
Well, this is one way, but we probably would normally open an issue with some screenshots saying, here's what I'm thinking about doing. But oftentimes, there's some discussion before implementation, but oftentimes people are like, I built this thing. How do people feel about it? And so
Right. That's not bad. I mean,
yeah, as does happen. And it's like, and if it's
Oh.
an improvement and if it's backwards compatible, then we often are like, this looks great. And we can move forward with it. Really, I think that that's kind of the MO is like, is it an improvement? Does it break things? And if the answer to that is yes, it improves things, no, it doesn't break things, then we almost always would like to move forward with whatever improvement has been put forth. And that example of like the menus previously going left, right, and now on mobile they only expand downward is one example of that. Converting the images from PNGs to icons or just adding the icons was another example. Letting the font size be configurable was another example. All of these things were iterative. And so, I think that is a big difference here with Backdrop in that the Drupal way of doing things is build an entirely new module and throw away the old module. And that building a new module process takes years to build out what is now like navigation module versus I can't remember what the toolbar. So they threw away toolbar and now navigation replaces it. And that they just said, well, it's easier just to write an entirely new module and throw away the old one because they go through the process of a full design, discussions, approvals at that level, and then they go to implementation, and that process takes years. And in Backdrop land, I think almost everything we see is much more like, can we make an improvement to what we have without breaking stuff? And then we just continuously are incrementing on it, which is why we have the equivalent of admin menu in Backdrop Core. We pulled it out of Contrib, and we essentially have the same thing that you had in Drupal 7. So, but it's been improved incrementally. So it is kind of the thing where it's like, I'd probably segment each one of these things like, font size, mobile experience, redesign into 3 separate issues, most likely, and be like, let's work on one of these 3 aspects, and then get that one done, and then move on to the next one.
I don't want
Go ahead.
to. I'm sorry. Since these are just once a month, there is just one topic I want to bring up once we transition out of this one. And I just kind of want to plant a seed towards the end, but I don't want to take over, Nate, before you're done presenting.
I think I'm done. I really just wanted to throw it out there and get the sense of where people, how it landed with them. Sounds like it's kind of lukewarm.
Oh, I think it's great. It definitely needs it's just a lot of work, right? And I want to make sure that like the juice is worth the squeeze for whoever puts the work into it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it being easier to navigate. I think as long as you don't suddenly get to the bit where you can't do things that you used to be able to do. So it's sometimes when you make things mobile friendly, it's like, well, let's dumb it down. So we'll only do the things that people will want to do on mobile, and you forget that sometimes actually you need to go in and do something more advanced, and you need to be able to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, let's wrap that up then, Darius, if you've got another topic.
Yeah, sure. So, God, how do I share? Sure. Okay. Oh, okay. So I've just been taking a couple of notes as I've been going through my Backdrop site. But what really stood out to me was the modules experience. And so I don't know if this is relevant to this discussion here, but to me, this is almost part of the Backdrop CMS is the modules page, right? And when I came here, I was kind of surprised by a few things. one of which like didn't really have like an exploration kind of experience. And ironically, I think I'm the one who designed this page to begin with. So coming back to it like 10 years later, I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm being dropped off in the middle of nowhere. There's very little context. There's like no featured modules, no way
Right.
to filter, no way to sort. I just the discoverability of the modules that are out there is nearly impossible. Unless I know specifically what I'm looking for, I can't really find much of anything. And I was just curious, has this been a discussion at all ever during the lineage of backdrop since inception? And is this something that other people have noticed as an issue? And like,
Yes.
okay, where are we
So
at with this page?
it comes up regularly, but usually not so much like as a big meta issue, but as the particular things that bug each person. I mean, the idea featured modules, related modules, like so, would be really helpful if we could link modules to other modules,
Yeah,
so
that would be
that
great.
yeah. I think there is some back end functionality, like that it's possible to add some metadata to your module that we've hoped would be then included in this page. I'm
Oh,
not sure
nice.
what that is, but I feel isn't there like categories? I think that there's an
That would be
opportunity
great.
in
Yeah.
the right. I think that like we've added that to the .info file for modules, but it's not being used right now. So there's no fun, you can add categories to your module when you create it, but it doesn't matter
But
because
it's like
there's
for
no
what? Yeah.
right, there's no UI that takes advantage of that info. If I'm right, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but um there's some we have made some minor improvements. I don't know where search at, but some of us have run into scenarios where you can literally type in the name of a module, search for it, and it doesn't come up. Now
Oh,
that was extreme, and
yeah.
that may have been fixed. But there's other cases where you type in one of the words, and I think still to this day, you might type in AI, and not every module that has AI in the title comes up, or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so those kind of issues come up regularly. I think, though, definitely people ask for on a by regular basis. I mean, at least every few months or once a
Okay.
year.
I
People ask for things like related modules. Why don't we have those, or the featured modules? Yeah.
I think
So
this would help with adoption too, just in the platform in general, right? Seeing what it's capable of, like
yeah,
being able to highlight and focus on the contributions, and just browsing is a big part, I think, of like a CMS experience. And my oversight 10 years ago, we just didn't even think about it. So I'm glad to hear that people are complaining, right? Because that means there's a fire that's been lit. And again, it's about prioritization, right? There's always a million different things. And since this is not part of the actual CMS itself, how does the community handle updating like a effect like this?
well, I think that's part of the problem, is that like we have more people in the community that sort of know how and can write a PR for core than we do who know how to fix backrap.org.
Yeah.
Um, and the pool of people who can do it is more limited. And so it's a little harder to get like the PR to fix it. Jen has had, or Bug Folder. I don't know if you've met what's his real name, Robert. Um, Robert and Jan are like two of the people who've done most of the work on backdrop.org. And when you narrow it down to like two or three people that are making improvements, it's just hard to get stuff like this done. So we do have the backdrop.org issue queue, backdrop CMS, sorry, Martin, backdropcms.org issue queue.
Oh,
And
okay.
I know there are issues for like improving the modules page, but they just get talked about, and not much action has happened.
It's an overhaul. It's a
Yeah.
big UX thing, and then the implementation is a lot of heavy lifting of it.
Well,
But
yeah.
yeah, in the scope of things, I think like this is kind of one of the main elements of the entire ecosystem, right?
Well, so a related problem that like was identified in a couple backdrop lives ago, and I think there was kind of consensus that it's a problem and even how we should fix it. but we just never have, is that there are a lot of functional modules that have never gotten a release. Sometimes there have been some of our module maintainers like don't feel like they can issue official release until they have an upgrade path from Drupal 7 or something. So the module may work perfectly, but they still haven't issued a release, which means it doesn't show up on backdrop.org. Or a module like 90% of it works, but there's one feature that they haven't implemented. It's not like it's broken. It just isn't there. So they haven't issued a release. And we felt like, and some of those are modules like display suites, where we've literally had people come in and said, I looked at Backdrop 2 years ago, but it didn't have display suites. And I needed display suites, so I didn't. And the fact was display suites worked 2 years ago, but there was no release, so they didn't find it. And so the proposed solution has been that we do show unreleased modules on this page, but that they're highlighted as unreleased or something.
With caveats, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So yes, you can find them, but they're not. And I think there's pretty much agreement that would be a good thing to do, and has been agreement for the last year and a half or 2 years, but it just hasn't been implemented. So that still doesn't exist.
It's yet another feature, part of the grander scheme of the modules experience, right? With that in alongside the lack of browsing and discoverability, and even like the searchability. Like you said, you type in AI, that's different than actually clicking on a checkbox that says AI, which will definitely take you there, right?
Or finding one modules and being able to see related modules, other modules.
Absolutely, right. Yeah. Just the exploration aspect, I think. Kind of a fun project, but a commitment, it
is, but it's like a part of the problem is if this were my website, right, I would just get in and start hacking it and trying things out on the live site, right? If it were my personal site, and I would sort of incrementally get towards a better solution. But we don't do that way. And Backdrop, right? We debate like what's the best way to do it, and then try to get somebody to implement it, and so what happens is if some of these ideas, if this were my personal website and I could make decisions, I would just try some of these things out, and probably I could implement them, some of them in 20 minutes. And some of them aren't that hard to implement if you have consensus around, yes, we want to do it, and does it look good enough? Is it so I don't know that it's always a difficult thing to do. It's just, and like for the design, this is a perfectly appropriate. We have talked about like the design of backdrop.org during these meetings before, but for the most part these meetings have been about core,
right?
And so we haven't really had an ideal place to talk about.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Right. Like
I had that feeling, but and this is like, to me, the modules page is an extension of core, right? This could almost be inside of the app itself. Like, why do I have to go outside of my CMS environment even to find modules? That's a whole other conversation.
Well, except that we do have the what do we call it, the module, the browser, which is, like you say, kind of an extension. You can find modules in Backdrop Core, and probably the same problems exist there.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it was better, then we should be using it, right?
Well, I use it all the time, right?
No, I mean, if they had all of the functionality we wanted, we would just be able to import that wholesale.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but like using the what do we call it? The project browser. I think project browser is the name of it. There is a project browser inside of Backdrop Core that allows you to look for and then download directly into Backdrop modules. And it's a big improvement over Drupal 7, where you couldn't do that. But so I love it, but it could be better. And it has some of the most of the same weaknesses of this.
I didn't even know about that feature, actually. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we don't install, it's not enabled on the Backdrop like event site or backdrop.org. Does anybody have I could open something here. Let me just find a website I can open. And
you mean like a personal Backdrop site?
Yeah, I'm just trying to open up a website that I can show the project browser. And the fun part about this is I think that Backdrop or Drupal, modern Drupal, like just finally implemented in the last year and a half or 2 years a project browser, and this was like for the 3 or 4 year project, right? With like every Drupal camp I went to would have a project browser sprint to work on this project browser, and it's like we've had it for 8 years.
Huh, I never
And,
even heard of it.
and even the one that they have now, I think, still doesn't do everything ours does. Um, well, let's just I'll just go to a client site here that I've used before. Oh. Oh, that's okay. I went to a site that we upgraded from Drupal 7, and so it doesn't have the project browser enabled.
Womp womp.
Learn Backdrop. Here we go. Okay, can I take, yeah, I think it's letting me, okay. Ignore the security warnings. This is a personal site, not a client site. Am I sharing? Yeah, I am. So Darius, this is a website I created a while back called Learn Backdrop, where I just created some tutorials and stuff. But
Oh,
if
wait, sorry to interrupt. I don't see any. I
Oh,
just
you
see your camera.
Oh, it's telling me that I'm sharing. It's got the little green border. Let me stop and try starting again.
Oh, there
Okay,
we go. Yep.
there we go. Okay, so this is a site I call learn-backdrop.simplo.site that's got some tutorials and stuff. But if we
Cool.
go to the modules page, we've got this install new modules, and it lists, these are modules, and you can see details. They open up, so you can see the entire README right here within.
Oh, cool.
I can search for icons. Do we have any icon related modules? And
How did you get this? Like my Backdrop doesn't even have that.
Did you upgrade a Drupal 7 site?
No.
No? Well, well, I suppose the other option is that you were an early adopter, so maybe this was added after you built your Backdrop site and you have to turn it on. I think it is.
I have to turn it on, maybe.
Yeah, I think it is a module. I mean, it's on by default on new installs, but it might not have been on yours. So
okay, because I'm up to date, but I don't think
right.
it's okay. Interesting.
No, but
project installer. Okay, yep. I don't have it.
Sure.
Aha. Oh, okay. I like this. That's cool. Okay. I would have never, again, discoverability issues. I didn't know it existed.
Oh, there's so many of those issues, right? And that's, I would say, over the last couple of years, when this design UX meeting was, more active, that a lot of the things that we talked about was features that were kind of hidden, like really powerful features. One of them that we've done a lot of work with, that we've done some work on, is field blocks. The ability to create blocks with fields in them. It's like every 3 months, somebody would come into the forums and say, I really wish you could do this in Backdrop, or how do you do this in Backdrop? Well, it's a very basic thing in Backdrop, but super hard to find. You have to like do 3 different things before it appears, and then you'll when it appears, you'll only notice it if you're looking for it, right?
Only if you're looking for it is the issue. Yeah,
exactly. So I think we made a little bit of progress on that particular issue, for example, but there's others like it. I think the install new modules one, I think actually the discoverability is pretty good if you build a new site today.
If you, for sure.
But it's not good if you had a site before it was added, and then you don't know it's there, and you don't enable it.
So this is cool though. And then so this would have to be built in concert with the main modules page, right? I mean, if you make improvements here, you kind of want some parity between the two. Yeah. It
So
doesn't have to be, but
when you say that this is really a core issue, it's even more of a core issue than you knew.
yeah, but more than I knew, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
There is
Yeah.
actually a project browser in core, and the same features that you're talking about would all apply to this. We do have, I mean, I never use these, but there is, I didn't even,
Hey, look, yeah. Even
I
this
don't know
is
if
an
I even knew that
improvement.
existed. Like I
Hello.
probably looked past
Yes.
that.
Let's rip can we put that on the main website? Even that is a help. Right? Okay, we're getting somewhere. This is good. Okay. Yeah, if I had to vote to prioritize something, I think the modules experience, at least
Oh,
from my perspective, is like that's how you make a backdrop. I don't know. Modules are
Yeah.
kind of everything, right?
well, so Darius, our numbers are getting smaller, but let me see if backdrop projects.synflow.site. Yeah, so I actually created this website to address some of these issues plus some other issues. So the one about unreleased modules, that one was really bothering me, and so my sort of personal fix to that, and I haven't updated this unfortunately for 3 years, and that which means the data is old. It doesn't have all the modules in it, but that this was a list of all the modules,
Oh wow.
including the unreleased ones. And so I just colored the green ones are on backdrop.org, the yellow ones are on GitHub, but not backdrop.org. And I did create kind of a manually kind of a categorization. So I think you can look at a module and I'm not seeing categories here. I thought I had categories. It could be just that only some modules have categories. Like here, I think the key module, that's a security module. Okay, but there's no way to sort by security. That's unfortunate. But it does it includes modules, themes, and layouts. So that's what this is. You can just sort by modules or whatever. And one of the other reasons I did this was that it's really hard. It's sort of hard if you're a module maintainer. It's hard to like find all of the modules you maintain. And
Wow.
like I will occasionally stumble across a module and say like, gee, this is a cool module. Who built this? And then realize I was the one who created, ported it
Oh
or
my
something.
God, really?
And like yes, this has definitely happened to me.
That's hilarious.
Or like went to do a port request, like, oh, I wish somebody would port this module, and then oh, it is ported, and oh, who ported it? Oh, I did.
Oh my God. Okay.
So,
Wow. That's
I mean,
great.
that's because I've done a lot of quick sloppy ports. But so at this time I had 32 modules. I've got more now, but we've got people like Laren, who's like got at the time this was done, Laren was the maintainer of 119 modules, and
Oh my
this
gosh.
data is 3 years old. So he probably now has 150, 200 modules. So
That is incredible.
and Jan has 94 modules. So it's so
Yeah,
easy to
even more than
but we don't have like there isn't a really good way in our community for me to see all the modules I maintain. Well, with this, I can click on my name and just get a quick list. The best way you can do it is there is something in GitHub where there's a search you can do that will like show you all the modules that you're a maintainer of, which it's been explained to me 10 different times how to do that search. And I never remember how to do it when I want the information.
Is there always a one-to-one with the GitHub and then the modules for Backdrop that people are maintaining?
Say that again.
So let's say you have 10 modules on Backdrop, right? Is there always a GitHub repo for each one? Like, in general? Yeah, okay. So you do have that sort of.
Yeah, there's not always if you haven't done a release yet, then there's not a corresponding page on backdropcms.org.
Yes. Every module on Backdrop every module on backdropcms.org has a GitHub page, but not every module on GitHub is in backdrop.org. The unreleased ones, because you can create a project in our GitHub contrib space and not release it. And we actually have probably 200 or 300 unreleased modules. Some of them just don't work, but many of them do work.
Yeah.
The maintainer just never felt comfortable releasing them.
And so then you're
Tim-
saying you can't, there's no list view of all of the modules that you maintain, like on backdrop.org.
No, there's
Interesting.
none
Okay.
on backdrop.org.
Tim, I don't think it's 100% reliable, and it might
Right.
depend on what you've put in the README. But because when you're in the project browser, so if you're in the installer browser on your project and you search for your username, then it will go into I think it's that tab where you've got your project browser on a website modules. So
Well, the event
and
site,
it-
no, it
and
doesn't
go
have it.
to did you have one that was your
Yeah, I have. I got to go to Learn Backdrop.
Simplo?
There we go. Learn Backdrop, install new modules. Okay.
And if you actually in the search thing, so if you typed in St. Paul Tim and then did a search,
I have never ever tried that, and I have wanted this feature. So
then you will obviously
see, I'm a maintainer
some
of
of
this
them if you
module.
Cool.
haven't got it in.
There you go.
But another discoverability thing like that never occurred to me to put my username in here.
Because
And
it
that-
searches the README.
Right. And my my username should be in every README. That's the one place. But we don't. The thing is, we don't. We on backdrop.org. So well, the username is included in the README, but in a kind of informal way. It's not. I think it should be part of the .info file, who the maintainer is, so that we could.
Well, there is provision in the .info file to put it in.
Okay.
But firstly, we don't yet do anything with that information.
So
And
there's
not
no
everyone,
incentive.
not everybody has filled it out, but we did introduce a protocol for adding maintainer information into the info,
Okay.
into the .info file.
Anyways, I realize we're still, I think, recording this meeting, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we kind of went off the rails, but I seem to hit a nerve. So I'm not the only one who thinks that there's definitely an opportunity for some improvements there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think to make it happen, one just needs somebody to sort of spearhead it, and let's finish the recording before I say anything more.